Welcome to the Feed You podcast, giving you the real scoop on raising your business to new heights. Expert education, inspiration, and motivation to fuel your purpose, your passion, and your profits. Here's your host, Elisa Connor.
Hello. Welcome to the Feed You podcast. I'm so grateful you guys are here. It is the day after daylight savings that I'm recording this, and let me tell you, I don't know about you guys, but this is the one time of year that I really wish I lived in Arizona. Why, you may ask? They do not do daylight savings, and it is a killer, especially the Monday after. And so yeah, I don't know if you guys are dragging, but it's a rough go over here. But we are going to jump into marketing. We did a episode last week that was a little bit more on the self-care mode, but this week we're going to jump into another marketing lesson. And there's going to be some changes coming up with the podcast. I just want to let you guys know about that. And in April, you can look forward to me launching a video component over on YouTube to go with this podcast. I've had some requests from people to that have reached out to me. They're like, "Oh, I love your training, but it'd be really great if we could see what you're talking about." And so some of the, especially in the marketing realm. So I foresee that the podcast is going to become more of a addition to business. So a lot more of the mindset and kind of taking care of you. And the video show is going to be more of the hands-on marketing stuff. But as we're jumping in, and if you have questions about what we talk about on here, or you have suggestions or things you want to learn, let me know. But as we dive a little bit more into strategy and using things like chatbots and Facebook ads and stuff like that, it's so much easier to just show you like behind the scenes. So look forward to that coming up in April. And we've got some great stuff coming from here on out. But we are talking about email lists today. And I always like to start this conversation because people are like, email's dead. I don't like email, blah, blah, blah. I don't even read my email. Well, email still has the greatest return on investment for your marketing dollars. For every dollar you put into an email campaign, you get, it used to be a 400% return. Now I think it's like 360% return. So for every dollar you put in, you basically get $360 back in revenue for your business. And so email is definitely not dead. In fact, it is one of the most, the highest choice by people to be communicated by brands. And so email is not dead. And I highly recommend staying as engaged with your audience as you possibly can. No less. I really think no less than once a week is great. I know people that do once a month and it works okay for them. But if you're struggling and you're not getting the engagement and you're not getting the sales and leads that you want, you may want to increase the number of times that you're emailing your list, and also to think about what you're emailing them with. So today, the topic is why your email list isn't growing. And one of the things that I do not have on here, but goes very well with this, is not knowing your ideal client. And so I have created a resource for you to get to know your ideal client very, very well. And you can find that resource at elisaconnor.com/ideal client. And it will walk you through multiple questions that get you really clear on who you serve, how you serve them, and why you're different from your competitors. So go check that out at elisaconnor.com/ideal client. But in the meantime, let's jump into the reason your email list isn't growing. And I've got several reasons for you that we're going to dive into today. The number one reason that I put down here is that the reason your email list isn't growing is because no one wants your opt-in, or you don't have one. And if you have an opt-in that you just created because it's something that you're like, oh, this would be great, and you didn't check to see if anybody actually wanted that, then here's a surprise, nobody's going to opt in for it. And so I have people that are like, yeah, my email list isn't growing. And I ask them, I'm like, so what do you what are you giving of value to your audience that they would want to sign up for? And they're like, oh, I just have signed up for my newsletter. Well, my friends, signing up for your newsletter is pretty much dead. Nobody wants to sign up for your newsletter. They want to know what a value in your newsletter is going to be for them. And so coming up with a topic that solves a problem and that is different from what everybody else in your industry is doing, but also gives them some sort of quick win and value is going to be your best bet. You'll have people sign up for it left and right. And that all comes from knowing your ideal client. So again, grab that freebie, ideal client, alisaconner.com/ideal client. So that's the number one reason is you have an opt-in that nobody wants, the topic is not interesting, or it's not of value to your audience. Number two is you haven't told anybody about your opt-in. You created this beautiful opt-in and it's full of value-packed information, and then you put it on your website and never told anybody about it ever again. And I actually have a client that I just did this with that we created several opt-ins for her because she has 3 different audiences. And so that's another tip for you is if you have more than one audience, you may need to create different opt-ins for different audiences. But she had not promoted it beyond her website. And so we made a quick change and started promoting it on our social media profiles. And guess what? She's getting more signups and people really like it. And so if you're like most entrepreneurs, you're like, oh, got that done, checked it off the list, but then you are really bad about promoting it or yourself. And so I want to encourage you to get over your fear of promoting your stuff, because if you promote it and nobody opts in, it's okay. Now from that lesson, you know, okay, that's not a topic that resonates with my audience. Let's try again. So get out of the mindset of failure. Like, it's never a failure as long as you do it. My mentor, James Wedmore, he's one of my favorite people to listen to. He has a saying. He said, you can't drive a parked car. And it's true. So if you are sitting in a parked car not taking action, then you will never get anywhere. And so take action, make mistakes, and learn from them and move on. So when you, the other piece of this that I wanted to mention is that if you're in a really saturated market, so healthcare is a really saturated market, you want to get super targeted. And so you will see that a lot of times in the wellness industry, people will run challenges, and you want to get really specific with your challenge. If that's your lead magnet, is you want to make sure that you're offering something that other people are not offering, and that your audience is really specific. So for example, instead of saying, I am running a challenge that in 5 days you'll lose 5 pounds or something. One, you probably never would want to do that because you're making a promise that is impossible to keep for everybody that would sign up for the challenge. But 2, it's so vague. Whereas I have another client who works specifically with people who are struggling with diabetes. And so if you were going to run a challenge for them and it was like, eat clean for 5 days and lower your, to help lower your diabetes numbers or something like that, that's really, really specific. And, creating something that is targeted towards a really specific audience is going to get you more traction, especially if you're in a really crowded market. And there are not a lot of markets that are not crowded now, because social media is a very sought after ground for people to promote their businesses. So that is number 2. Number 3 is you are not creating an engaging email when you continue to email your list after they sign up. And so I have an actual file of emails that I'm like, oh, that's so not a good one. Where people that, they will send like one email that's like, hey, welcome to my list. And then the next email is like, hey, buy my stuff. And, it's too fast. It's like saying, hey, do you want to go on a date? And in your first date, asking somebody if you want to marry them. And so, or if they want to marry you. And that's absurd. We wouldn't do that on a first date in most cases. And so you can't do that with your email list either. You invite them in, you start to nurture that relationship. And then as they grow to trust you and get some quick wins from you and get value from you, then of course, you want to promote what you're offering as a service or as a product. So, those emails need to be engaging. They need to get people to open them, and they need to start building that relationship. So that's number 3. Number 4 is you are not emailing enough or at all. And so they sign up for your freebie and then it's like 6 months of crickets. And they're like, oh, well, that was great. And so they signed up for your list and they got the freebie and moved on. And that is the first sign of not having a very productive sales funnel because it's not leading anywhere. So if you're going to go through all the trouble of creating a freebie and getting people on your list, then please email them on a regular occasion and even let them know, like in that first email, like I will be emailing you once a month so that people are prepared and they can mentally set themselves up for a reminder when that email comes in. And something that is just, I want to say a faux pas of emailing is like, I've had this happen on several occasions where people will sign me up for or I'll get on their list and then I'll be on their list for a while and they don't email. And then 6 months later I hear from them and the first email I get is, hey, sign up for my new product, service, class, course, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that is like the first way to get people to unsubscribe, in my opinion. If you haven't talked to them, interacted with them, engaged with them in some way for 6 months, and then you're emailing them and telling them to get, to sign up for your program or your product or whatever it is you're launching, they're going to be like, I don't know who you are. And it's kind of like, I look at it and go, how rude. like the gal from the Cosby Show, how rude. Or no, it was from Full House. But just think about it. Like if you were to go into a store and you hadn't been in there for 6 months and they're trying to sell you into, or let's say the gym, like you haven't gone to the gym for 6 months because it's summer and then you go back in October and they try to sell you into personal training and you haven't even been there. That is like a little over the top. You're like, no, I just kind of, I don't need to be sold something else. I need to get back to using my gym membership. And so think about that when you're emailing out, and connecting with your list. And when you stay consistent, this isn't a problem. And so the moral of the story is to stay as consistent as you can. And if you miss a week, it's not the end of the world. People get sick, they go on vacation, things like that. But be as consistent as you can, because your audience they'll get used to seeing you in their inbox. And then when you are ready to promote your next product or service, they are prepped and ready to go. So that is number 4. Number 5, your email collection form is too long. I don't know how many times you've gone to an email opt-in form and they're like, yes, I'll need a retinal scan and your name and your email and your phone number and your kid's first name. And it's like, it's too much. So the limited amount of information, I always say first name and email is probably a good amount of information to collect. You can collect the rest later as you start to build the relationship, but don't make this long form when you're trying to get people to sign up for your list initially and before they even really have gotten a chance to get to know you. So don't make your form too long, because people just won't opt in. They're gonna like, this takes too much time. So that's number 5. Number 6 is nobody knows who you are. And so they don't know that you have an opt-in. They don't know what you do. So there's several things that you can do to start to get your name out there. You can, sign up for industry trade shows for your ideal client, conferences. You could do networking. You could host your own events, webinars, or trainings. You could start using ads, which we're going to talk about Facebook ads next week. But ads are a great way to start growing your list and getting yourself in front of more people. And those are just a few ideas. So get yourself out there so that people start to become aware of you. And the best way to do that is to create regular content, and that consistently. And the other nice piece about creating consistent content is that it gives you content you can also email out. Like, you don't have to create a blog post and then create something completely different for your email. You want those things to tie together. 1, because it's a huge time saver, and 2, because it reiterates what you're talking about in multiple ways. We always think that like, oh, we're saying the same things over and over and over again. But the reality is like somebody may be listening to this podcast and they never go read the blog post, or they may be listening to this podcast and they're also driving or on a walk and the dog's barking and, all these different things are happening. And so they only catch so much of it. And we have a lot of things that come in and out of our consciousness all day long, so that you're not the center of attention, is what I'm trying to say. Is like whatever you're putting out there is not the center of attention. And it takes somewhere between 7 and 12 touches for people to know who you are, know what you do, and know that they need you to help them. And so repeating yourself multiple times is actually a benefit to you and to your brand, and to help you create value. Because when they see it and hear it more and more and more, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember now. So keep putting yourself out there. Number 7 is, and this I'm raising my hand high. I am a definite, this is definitely a flaw I'm trying to heal, is that you give away everything for free. I give away a lot of stuff for free, and that is great, and people love you for it, but it's really hard to pay the bills when you are not getting paid for what you do. So, some great ways to avoid giving away everything for free is to gate your content, and that means put it behind an email opt-in form. So, maybe you do a blog post and then you have a video that goes with it, and the video is gated. And so that means gated simply means you are requiring them to give you their email address and name to get to the next piece of content. So that, and then one of the tips that I give to my clients a lot, they're like, oh, I don't know what content to create. And I'm like, just stick to the why. Like, why is it important for you to grow your email list? Well, it's important because you own it, because it's a way for you to stay connected to people one-on-one. It's a way for you to build loyalty and authority with a group of people who need what you do. And the big one is that if you have an engaged email list, it's much easier for you to sell your product and service when you launch it, or when you have a new product or service, or whatever that looks like. So stick to the why, no matter what your business is. So another one would be, I always think about this in the realm of people that I have worked with. So currently I have I have several people that are in the healing modalities, like alternative medicine modalities, and they get kind of stuck here because they're very much givers and they want to give away, all that they can for as little money as they can. There's a lot of scarcity mindset in that industry specifically. But say for example, if you are a massage therapist and you're like, well, what can I create content on? Well, you could easily create, the 7 reasons or the 7 ways that self-massage therapy could help regulate migraine headaches every day. And you go into the reasons why doing like neck massage is going to reduce headaches, and then the different all the different, I'm not a massage therapist obviously, but you could go into the whys of like, if you're doing acupressure on your feet, and this is why it will affect your headaches, and if you're doing neck massage or self massage of your temples, it does this. If you do neck massage here, it does this. The difference between trying to do self massage and getting a massage from a therapist, and all there, you could go on and on and on, but if you stick to the why, like why massage is beneficial for your overall health, and you could go into circulation, you could go into, mental, what am I trying to say? Mental decompression. So you can just like relax, and all the benefits of relaxation and massaging. So on and on and on. So just sticking to the why people would want to move in that direction with you is going to keep you from giving everything away for free. Then the other tip that I have in here is, with all of that, is that you want to make sure that whatever you're creating for your free download to collect that name and email address, that's your opt-in, is so good that people look at it and they go, oh my gosh, I would pay for this. Because if the other piece of that soundtrack that's going through their mind is like, if this is free and it's this good, I can't imagine what the paid content is going to be like. So your goal should always be to give away enough that it people would actually pay for that information or pay for that experience, but still have it just be one little piece of the whole puzzle. And so it's a balance, and you may need some help with that. And I get it, because it's not an easy thing to create on your own. But again, a lot of it comes down to knowing your ideal client. So if you are unsure of who that is, I highly recommend you go grab that freebie at elisaconnor.com/ideal client. Number 8, you're making it really hard for people to share your content. And that means you're not getting it in front of more eyeballs. So if you go to my website, you will actually see that at the end of every show notes page, I have a way for you to share that content. You want to make it shareable on social media, on your website, in your email, any place you can do that. You want to add it in there. And don't panic, you don't have to do it all at one time. But if you do have a website like WordPress, there are several plugins that you can use to make that happen. And I'll stick those in the show notes. The one that I use, I don't have it in front of me right now, but I have a great one. Monarch is one that's part of the Elegant Themes package, and that is on my website already under resources. So elisaconnor.com/resources. There's a whole Elegant Themes link over there for Divi. They're the builders of Divi, which is how I build all of my websites. And then they also have a plugin called Monarch that is a built-in sharing platform, and you can make it pretty and put it where you want it to be. And if you purchase the Elegant Themes bundle, I think it's still $89, like lifetime access. So it's totally a great deal, because you get that one and a couple of Bloom, which is a great way to build out your, your opt-in forms. And then Monarch is your sharing. So they've kind of covered the gamut with all of the things that you need to build your website for a one-time price. And don't hold me to $89. That's what it has been. They may have changed their pricing, but if you go to my website, elisaconnor.com/resources, or scroll to the bottom of the page, there's a link for resources. You will be able to find that link and get over there and see what's what. So you want to make it easy to share. If you're doing videos, again, you know, on YouTube or somewhere else, you want to make them shareable, but anything you're doing, make it as shareable as possible, so that if people get value out of it, they can tell their friends and share it with other colleagues and that sort of thing, so that you get your content in front of more eyeballs, because the more eyeballs, the more people that end up on your website that will opt into your email list. So promote, promote, promote. Number 9, 2 to go. Number 9 is that if you are adding people to your email list that never asked you to, please don't do that. Stop it. Stop it right now. I have this happen all the time. People will go to a trade show, or they'll have a booth at a trade show, and they will have people fill out a form for a raffle or something, but they never tell them that they're getting added to the email list. And it is so annoying to the people that could potentially be your customers, because that email list, or that email address, is as valuable, nearly as valuable as a social security number anymore. People are so sick of being added to things that they didn't ask for, that you don't want to come out of the gate as the person who added them to a list without their permission. Besides the fact that, depending on where you live, for sure in Europe, it is illegal. As the GDPR rules were enacted it was almost 2 years ago, it is actually illegal for you to add them to a list without their permission. So there are changes in the States as well around that. I did an episode on that previously, and I'll link to that in the show notes too. But you really don't want to do that. It's a really bad idea, and it can lead to thousands, if not millions of dollars of fines, and you just don't want to go down that road. You want to get permission. You want to ask them if it's okay for them, to be added to your list, and you want to build that relationship on a strong foundation of trust to begin with. So just don't, if you're in a networking group, for example, don't just take everybody from that networking group and add them to your email list. You want to make sure that they are finding their way to add themselves, or you're asking for specific permission in some way and getting that permission, because otherwise it's not good big business practice. You just don't want to get in the habit of doing that. And then number 10 is that, this is a big one, you keep procrastinating and never start growing your list. And I know many people in this boat that they have list shame. They have a lot of list shame. They're like, I don't have a list. I haven't created anything. I'm stuck. I don't know what to create. And my advice is you have to start somewhere. And if you focus on the growth, so maybe you have nobody today and next week you have 10 people, like that's amazing growth, because at least you're starting to build your list. And everybody starts at 0. I know people that start at 0 again and again because they change the direction of their business. They change the direction of, they get more specific. They have people that fall off, but just starting to build that list is really, really important. It's the easiest way for you to stay in front of and nurture your audience and get to know them, and just to build a community around your brand and your business and your products and services. And it actually is the most preferred method of communication. As I mentioned, 72% of US adults prefer communication to happen through email. And that stat was from Marketing Sherpa. But 72% is a big percentage, and you would think it would be social media or something like that, but people actually, when they want to gather information or have information to refer back to, they want to be contacted via email. So it's critical for you to grow your business to invest some time and energy into growing your list and staying in front of that list. So that's the top 10. I'm going to power through those. I'm going to go backwards. So number 10 was stop procrastinating and start. Number 9 was don't add people to your list without their permission. Number 8 was make your content shareable. Number 7 is don't give away everything for free. Number 6 is get out there and get in front of people so they know who you are. Number 5 is make your form short. Number 4, stay consistent with emailing. Don't just email out of the blue. Number 3 is create an engaging email to welcome visitors and get them excited about being on your list. Number 2 is tell people about your opt-in, that you have a free download, and let them know, promote it out there. And then number 1 is to test your opt-in again and again, and just see what's going to work with your list and connect it to your ideal client, their problems, and how you're going to solve them for them. That's it for this week. Next week, we're going to jump into the spirit of St. Patrick's Day and talk about how marketing, good marketing, really has very little to do with luck. Until then, I hope you feed your business and feed yourself so you continue to be profitable and enjoy what you do. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Just a quick reminder, don't forget to grab that free ideal client worksheet that will help you map out who your ideal client is, where they're hanging out, and how you can connect with them better so that you can quit fretting about your marketing, get out of the overwhelm, and start attracting the clients that you want to work with that will pay you and grow your business. You can grab that at elisaconner.com/ideal client.